Chapter 35, Man is Made or Unmade by Himself. Rene Boxer Enriquez was nearly 40 years old. He was tired of the whole Mexican mafia mess and secretly wanted out. Yet, none of the alternative choices, snitch, die, or debrief, seemed any more appealing. Meanwhile, there was something else that for years had been slowly changing Boxer's outlook on life: books. He was a high school dropout with no interest in education, but years earlier, he had begun to read. I had difficulty reading when I was a kid because I really didn't apply myself in school. But when I got to prison, I became a reader. It stemmed from an episode in LA County Jail back in the early 1980s. A young boxer spent all his time gambling and horsing around. Charlie Rose was a big, fat, greasy-looking outlaw biker who one day asked him to grab a bunch of books off a library cart that came around the tier. "What are you doing?" asked Boxer. "I'm reading," he said. "I love to read." "Rene, you'll understand when you get to prison. Books will be your best friend." The next year at Soledad State Prison, Boxer was thrown into solitary confinement after instigating a prison skirmish. He started reading Stephen King novels and then The Count of Monte Cristo. Later, during the ensuing years at Pelican Bay, he became a voracious reader. "Once I learned one thing, I realized how little I really knew and wanted to broaden my understanding of something else." He graduated to some other classics. The Red Badge of Courage taught him that fear was normal. It's how you deal with it that counts. There was Machiavelli, the Italian statesman, whose doctrine denied the relevance of morality in political affairs. It hit close to Boxer's immoral world. Author John Steinbeck's earthly novels about the nobility of the common man more than held his interest. He pursued Shakespeare's King Lear, Romeo and Juliet, and Taming of the Shrew, and began quoting the English playwright to other inmates. Ernie Neto Nunez was a short, olive-skinned gangster from Azusa 13 who combed his hair straight back and wore a catfish mustache with long, wispy hairs spreading across his upper lip. He was also known as Lying Neto because he always had a problem with telling the truth. Boxer listened to him tell a fresh whopper about killing a cougar with his own bare hands. "Neto," he said, quoting Hamlet, "to thine own self be true." "What does that mean?" answered the confused Neto. "Be true to yourself. Don't lie," admonished Boxer. Another time he leveled a prison-hardened gangster who madly denied he had stolen something with, "Methinks thou dost protest too much." Books were increasing his vocabulary and opening up a whole new world to him. Much of what he read would have been introduced in good high school English classes, but he never went. Now Boxer began to educate himself. He would pass a high school equivalency general education development GED exam with above average marks, upper 19th percentile in writing, reading, and social studies. Boxer read biographies about people as diverse as Italian mafioso John Gotti and artists Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera, and Georgia O'Keeffe. He added with a huge knowing laugh that his favorites are still horror novels for their pure entertainment value. He taught himself algebra and studied sociology and psychology, taking an independent study course in abnormal psychology from Cal State Northridge. The term paper he wrote was entitled Psychological Degradation and Isolation, and he queried other inmates about the effects of their incarceration in Pelican Bay SHU. He completed a 10-lesson course in fundamental economics from the Henry George Institute in New York, a course entitled Discovering Psychology from LaSalle University in Mandeville, Louisiana, a course in the 10 Commandments from the Catholic Home Study Institute at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, and a series of courses about sight from the Hadley School for the Blind in Winnetka, Illinois, including an introduction to personal computers. "I wanted to know what people were talking about when they mentioned a mouse or a cursor," he explained. "Just because I'm a prisoner doesn't mean I have to live in a cave." During the late 1990s, his brother Mark sent him a copy of James Allen's As a Man Thinketh. It was the same self-help book his father had forced him to read when he was a teenager. The premise was, a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. This time, the message was striking. Allen wrote, "A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the neutral result of continued effort and right thinking, the effect of long cherished association with godlike things. This time the message was striking. Allen wrote, "A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is the neutral result of continued effort and right thinking, the effect of long cherished association with godlike thoughts. An ignoble and bestial character, by the same process, is the result of a continued harboring and grovial thoughts. Man is made or unmade by himself." It was an epiphany for a developing boxer. I didn't even realize it before that my dad was trying to give me a lesson in life. He was getting ready for a change.